All right, I watched a bajillion movies this month, so I'm gonna go through these rapid fire speed. Starting off, I started off with The Encampments. Really cool documentary about the protests concerning Gaza in Columbia University over the universities having ties to Israeli weapon companies. And I remember watching these protests ages ago when they were happening and never really followed the outcomes. So it was really cool learning exactly what happened and how it all kind of escalated over time. But in the end, it was just so depressing. I was just really hoping for a happier ending where the universities caved and everyone rejoiced and got on with their studies and the world was a better place. But when does that ever happen? Next, I watched Santa Sangre, which was a very, very cool movie, and learning about the director was a very sad state of affairs. But putting that aside, it was a really interesting watch. This movie is super original and has some amazing imagery, and I really loved the second half, watching the dynamic between the son and the mother. Everything that had to do with arms was incredible. I did think the ending was a huge cop-out, but it was still a really good watch, and I definitely recommend it. I watched a couple stand-up specials after that, Matteo Lane's The Al Dente special, and Jessica Kirsten's I'm the Man. They were both fun. Nothing crazy, but good time. Then I watched Shut Up and Play the Hits. Also, a really good time. You know, the story of LCD Sound System condensed in maybe I think it was around 2 hours. And it was about how they got together, how the band was formed, and their last show. So after they decided to end the band, I did want a little more information about the band. It would have been cool to learn a bit more about like the process of making an album and the band dynamic, but it was really cool seeing the show. I watched this after watching Meet Me in the Bathroom a couple months ago, so they're really good back to back. Then I watched Paddington 2 and Dora the Explorer, Dora and the City of Gold. Two family movies that are very different. Paddington 2 is really good. I don't consider it to be one of the best movies of all time like some people, but it's great. I mean, the opening scene with the barbershop is really amazing, and it's just so charming. He's just such a charming little bear. And Dora is less charming, but it was fun. It was a fun movie. Like, it was a good movie to watch if you're sick or if you just want to watch something that's really low stakes and it's just kind of silly. It was surprisingly okay, like not bad. Then I watched Freaky Tales because Cinema Joe told me it was amazing, and it was good. Some parts of it were great, and I really liked how everything came together in the end, but I felt like it wore its influences on its sleeve too much without being its own thing. So worth a watch, especially if you like kind of fragmented vignette-like stories that converge at the end. Then I was in a masochistic mood because I watched The Fault in Our Stars and It Ends With Us back to back. You know something is really terrible when It Ends With Us is a breath of fresh air. I think The Fault in Our Stars is top 3 worst movies I've ever seen in my life. And It Ends With Us is very bad, but less bad. But it's not it's not worth a watch at all. Then I found out 28 Years Later was coming out, so I rewatched 28 Weeks Later for the first time in maybe 15 years. And I was kind of excited because I remember really liking it when I was like 16. Especially the opening scene. I really remembered that opening scene very vividly. But I was disappointed to learn that the opening scene still bangs, but the rest of the movie really fizzles out. There are no real gripping moments, and the characters, they feel really hollow. So you're not really made to care about their outcome. Some cool scenes here and there, like the subway scene was cool. The outbreak scene was kind of cool, but not really worth a watch. Now, 28 Years Later was much more interesting, a good time. I was pretty hopeful knowing that Danny Boyle was coming back to direct this one. That being said, the movie does feel a bit disjointed. To me, the first half was great, and the second half was kind of a letdown. I really fucked with the maximalist editing and the experimental filmmaking overall, which is something you really almost never see in commercial films. So to have that was really cool, to see that on a big screen. The first half was really tense and had some great action pieces, as well as some amazing shots like the silhouettes of the zombies coming from the top of the mountain. The second half I wasn't so into. After the venture out to the island the second time, there's not nearly as many zombies or as much action, and this drama about the kid and his mom just didn't hit for me. I didn't care about the mom really. I felt like we hadn't spent time with her almost at all, so I had no emotional ties to her well-being. But unlike some people, I really enjoyed the lighter tone sprinkled throughout the movie, especially the ending. I thought the ending was incredible and kind of one of my favorite parts of the whole thing. I wanted more of the fat zombies. I really loved those little freaks. They just were crawling around, and I liked that. Then I watched Eyes Without a Face with some friends. Don't have much to say about this one, but I liked it. Had some good vibes. Then I watched Pootie Tang, which was not good, but it did occasionally make me laugh. And I watched The Night of the Hunter, which I'd been wanting to watch for a really long time, and I really enjoyed it. I just thought I was going to enjoy it even more. But this film is about a couple of kids whose dad robs a bank and hides the money somewhere only the kids know. And after he gets arrested, he meets a quote-unquote preacher in jail who goes after the money after he gets out. And it's well written, it's very well acted, the lighting is fucking exquisite. You could pause the movie at numerous shots and just hang what's showing in the frame. The scenes in the water specifically were beautiful. It would have been a near masterpiece if they didn't fumble the third act. To me, it just felt a little overwritten and unsatisfying. The story loses a lot of its momentum and grinds to a halt for the last 15 or so minutes. But still, it's an amazing movie I'd highly, highly recommend. Friendship was good, but didn't always align with my sense of humor. I was hoping for a movie more like I Love You Man, but this wasn't it. Then I watched Rebel Ridge. I shouldn't have seen that. I shouldn't have watched this. So this movie is if Jack Reacher meets a bad document movie. So it's like an action suspense neo-noir that does nothing good. The action is serviceable and everything around it is underwhelming. Then I watched The Last City of Z. This was also a letdown, even though I wasn't expecting much. The pacing was really weird and the story just became a drag after a while, even though the acting was okay and the script was not. Then I finally watched The Wizard of Oz, and I really enjoyed it. I'm not a huge fan of musicals, but the songs in this one were short and really enjoyable. The story was really over the top, which I liked, and it's just a very charming little film. I don't think I need to tell anyone this because everybody's seen it. Interestingly enough, I don't think it really made its way to Latin America almost at all. Everything I talked to about it had never seen it. Yeah, it had some gorgeous set designs and extremely well-made costumes. Wish we did this sort of thing still. Then I watched Wings of Desire. I unintentionally watched this one in parts, which I think was a real detriment to my enjoyment of it, but I still really liked it. I loved how they played with colors and had different characters and languages involved. It made for a really interesting and different viewing. It really made me want to check out more of this director, especially after finding out he also did Perfect Days. I thought though that Wings of Desire itself was really dense, and because of that, I'd really like to rewatch it in one go. But a great film nonetheless. A lot here about what it means to be human and the beauty of life, appreciating what you have, and just the experience of living. It was really cool. Need to watch it again. Then I watched Ghost in the Shell and Angel's Egg. Ghost in the Shell was well animated, but the story was not very interesting. But Angel's Egg was really fucking cool. Yeah, very kind of surreal, very cool. Then I watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I got in a big Pee-wee kick this month after watching the Pee-wee documentary, Pee-wee as himself. And that led me to a rabbit hole where I read a bunch of interviews and read about the show. I had never seen the show. The show never made its way to Brazil that I know of. But Pee-wee's Big Adventure was such a good time. Like Paddington 2, it really starts out with a bang. The vibes are really immaculate for the first 20 minutes or so. And even though the rest of the movie wasn't quite on par for me as that first act, I was really happy to have watched it. Definitely a long time coming and can't wait to see it again in the future. After that, I had to ruin my good streak watching F1 the movie. I don't want to dwell on this one for too long. A lot of people seem to be loving it, and I wish I was one of you. After Top Gun, I had such high hopes. Not that this was going to be as good, but at least a good time. And unfortunately, I just found it to be kind of terrible. Top Gun was cheesy in a good way, but this was just badly written. The racing scenes were by far the best part, and everything around it was bad. Just a lot of bad dialogue and fake laughing. Didn't love it. Then I watched 13th and Time, 2 documentaries about the prison system in the States, and they were really depressing. 13th was much more educational in its messaging, tying the current system to slavery and everything that's happened in between. So it really gives a thorough history of the violence and racism that has been present in America one way or another, first legally, then socially, and now systematically. And Time was much different. It focused on one family. Really, it focused on the case of Fox Rich and her husband, who had been in jail for 20 years. And it's much more of an artsy documentary. It's black and white. It has a fantastic piano-based soundtrack and some beautiful shots. There's a shot of the sky that's just really gorgeous. And although it was intentional, I did find it a bit meandering at times. I finished the month watching Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Moonlight, All the Beauty and Bloodshed, and Rosemary's Baby. Forgetting Sarah Marshall was a good time. Moonlight was a masterpiece with an immaculate soundtrack, no notes. All the Beauty and the Bloodshed was a fascinating self-portrait, a discussion about queerness, addiction, and the Sackler family. And Rosemary's Baby was great. Not one of the best horror movies of all time for me, but well worth a watch. And that's it. That's my... Oh, I watched Nowhere as well at some point this month. And that was... What did you watch this month? Let me know what you would rank these movies out of 73.